Hello, and welcome to ERPNext Shootouts with Zoho Books and Inventory. ERPNext is the world's most popular open source ERP. It is used by about 25,000 organizations across the world. Unicorns such as Zerodha and Elastic run their significant part of their business on ERPNext, yet ERPNext is in many ways the best kept secret in the world. It's not used by as many organizations. 25,000 is a small minuscule portion of the number of organizations that could potentially use ERPNext. So how well does ERPNext stack up against its peers and competitors? So the reason why ERPNext is the best kept secret in the world, is it because of something deficient, something lacking in ERPNext? Or is it just the fact that people haven't discovered ERPNext, people haven't tried ERPNext? And that is what this shootout attempts to discover. How well does ERPNext stack up against its peers and competitors? For the first shootout, we picked Zoho Books and Inventory, and this is what we found out as part of the shootout. Well, we used the following attributes to run both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory against against these. It's a whole bunch of attributes. You're welcome to take a look at this in the video, a detailed look at the video. There are multiple videos around this. And what I did was, in interest of time, I'm just not going to read all of that out. I did a discovery phase. The complete discovery process is presented in this video. It was a painstaking capture of screens of each and every one of those particular attributes. The video is right over here, and you're welcome to take a look at that. It's a 5-hour long video, so you are welcome to watch it when you're stuck on a deserted island with high-speed internet. Starlink, be nice to Elon Musk. All right, so then I had an opinionated section with some screens. My opinions about each software. The first part, the discovery part, did not have any opinions, or tried to steer clear of opinions. Some of my opinions, I'm a very opinionated guy, and some of that must have come out, even in that particular segment, but it's tried to steer clear, and I've probably stopped myself every time I got onto my opinionated nature, which is almost all the time. So my opinions now, I have another opinionated section with some screens. My opinions about each piece of software is presented against those attributes, is presented with some relevant screens for information. An illustration doesn't have all the screens like the first video, so just got some screens in there. That video is again over here, and you're welcome to watch that. It still is a 150-minute video, and I know that you guys are very busy. We value your time, and no, we don't want to think that that length of the video is way beyond your attention span, because that's not a nice thing to say. But still, I'm trying to make this particular video very crisp as possible. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and it's right over here. We will have a lot of hacks, a lot of there are a few demos, there are the shootouts, there is going to be cheats and hacks on ERPNext from a business perspective, completely business perspective. I'm not a technologist, I'm not a developer, I don't want to be a developer. There is so much on the business side that somebody needs to do on ERPNext, and any ERP for that matter, that I'm going to have my hands full, hopefully. Yes, sign up for a service. So the comparison between Zoho Books and Inventory and ERPNext. On the attribute of ease of sign up, it was easy on ERPNext. It was only an email ID that was required. You got a 2 weeks free trial, and there was no credit card that you needed to enter in, or to furnish, or to provide. The accounts and inventory and all of the ERPNext features available is the single sign up. So you didn't need to look at inventory as separate, or accounts as separate, or any of the other modules that ERPNext supports. On Zoho Books and Inventory, in addition to your email, you have to give in a phone number, and you get an OTP that gets validated. You get a 2 weeks free trial. There was no credit card that was required. Accounts and inventory are separate signups, though it was very easy to sign up for both. Both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory preloaded a country-specific chart of accounts. Not the same chart of accounts, of course, two different, one for Zoho, one for ERPNext. And the entrepreneur does not really need to know complex accounting concepts to be able to hit the ground running with trying to digitize his or her organization. And because of these reasons, the section winner for sign up for service and the margin of win is, it's even Steven. It was a tie. Zoho does require a phone number, accounts and inventory or separate signups, but it was all done very unobtrusively, so I wouldn't ding them for that. So now we're going to talk about the item and BOM setup. In the item setup, inventory items, service items, and manufactured and bundle items are all in a single interface on ERPNext. On Zoho Books and Inventory, inventory items and service items are in a single interface, but you need to know whether an item is manufactured or going to get bundled, and you need to set it up as a composite item. On serial numbers and batch numbers and expiry dates, ERPNext comes with support for this out of the box. You don't need to do any configuration settings. On Zoho Books and Inventory, it needs to be enabled at the setup level. And the serial number and batch numbers are not available on the free or the standard plan. You need a professional plan or higher for that. Bills of material is supported on ERPNext, supports multiple bills of material for the same item. You could have one single item as the input item to a manufactured item. You could also use a service item in the BOM. You could have a multi-level BOM, which is a BOM. An item with a BOM could be called into a BOM. So this is very important for, let us say, sub-assemblies, main assemblies, and the final product. Like you have a car, you have the engine assembly, you have the piston assembly, you have the piston ring assembly, so on and so forth. So that is very important. That particular part is supported, and the exploded bill of materials, which is the sum total of raw materials and bought out components, which is very important from a manufacturing planning perspective, is also supported on ERPNext. On Zoho Bills, in the Zoho Books and Inventory, associated item section in the composite item master is the equivalent of a BOM, and because it has to be entered into the item master, you can only have one BOM per composite item. A BOM needs at least one inventory item and one service item, so two inventory items. It's not possible for you to make a composite item with just one item. And I think the approach that Zoho has taken on manufacturing, they're hacking it to make manufacturing work. It is actually a bundling feature where you can bundle a mouse and a keyboard and sell it along with a laptop, and then sell it at a super duper price. And that is when it doesn't make any sense to have that kind of a bundle with just one item, because you could as well sell that particular item. That is the concept, I think. Anyway, that is a service item can be included in the associated items in the BOM. There is no multi-level BOM support, and there is no exploded bill of materials that is supported. And because of all of these, there is no composite item. You don't have to deal with the complexity of a composite item. You don't need to worry about setting up batch numbers and serial numbers at the setup level. You get multiple BOMs per item. You don't need multiple items as the input item for a manufactured item on ERPNext. You have the multiple level BOM and the exploded bill of materials, and none of these is available on Zoho Books and Inventory. The winner of item and BOM setup is ERPNext by a mile. Now, we talk about warehouse setup and transactions. On warehouse, the number of warehouse supported, and ERPNext supports an unlimited number of warehouses. On Zoho Books and Inventory, multiple warehouses has to be enabled at the setup level, and depending upon the plan, you get 1, 2, 3, or 7 warehouses. You can always buy an additional warehouse at 500 rupees per warehouse per month extra. Requesting buying raw material for a required quantity of manufactured item. ERPNext supports production plan, which requests required material, creates work orders and subcontracting PO. Material request, if you don't want to work with the production plan, you can do material request, and that can pull the input material from a BOM for a particular item, and you can convert that into a material request and into a purchase order. Whereas on Zoho Books and Inventory, the quantities of input item has to be calculated in an Excel or a calculator and then entered as a PO on Zoho Inventory. Making purchase orders and inverting materials on ERPNext, you can start with a material request and then convert that into a purchase order. It's easy to do that. It's easy to make a downstream document across ERPNext with a single click. You can have unlimited number of POs and purchase invoices on ERPNext. On Zoho Books and Inventory, they have a similar approach. It's easy to do that. The downstream document is again a very easy to initiate a downstream document with a single click. However, on the number of POs and purchase invoices, you get 300, 1,500, 3,000 or 7,500 POs or invoices per month. You have to buy extra. This is wrong. This is the sales side of things. On the purchase side of things, I really don't know how much. It's not available on the website as to how much extra you need to pay. Making manufacturing entries, that's the next attribute that we're looking at. On ERPNext, you can do a stock entry, purpose manufacture. On Zoho Inventory, bundling is the equivalent of a manufacturing entry. Tracking serial numbers and batch numbers on ERPNext is fairly manageable if you use a serial number and batch selector, but it's complicated otherwise. It used to be simpler on ERPNext, but because of data integrity issues, they decided to move to a more robust configuration. Zoho still uses the previous approach that ERPNext used to, and because of that, it's fairly manageable. Maybe they have a way of making the data integrity robust without having to give up on on ease of use. So that is about the outsourcing and subcontracting. It's a little complicated on ERPNext, but there is a very clear process, there is a very clear workflow, and it's also possible to reconcile quantities that have been sent to a subcontractor and the amount of transformed material that you got back from the subcontractors, and therefore how much must be left with the subcontractor. On Zoho Books and Inventory, outsourcing is not supported directly. Tracking manufacturing, you can track it at the work order, operations, job cards level. You can track it at the aggregate level or drill down to a particular transaction. There is no, other than the bundling document, there is no operations, there is no work order or any of those kind of documents that are supported on Zoho Books and Inventory. On inventory valuation, ERPNext supports both FIFO and moving average, whereas Zoho Books and Inventory only supports FIFO. Now, because of these reasons, if you look at that, it's so easy to, you don't have to sit down and calculate the input material for a particular manufacturing quantity that you're planning on. You can have multiple warehouses, the unlimited number of warehouses. You can have unlimited number of POs and invert and purchase invoices. The outsourcing is supported directly. Manufacturing tracking is also supported directly. Because of all of these reasons, ERPNext is the winner of this particular segment of the warehouses and transactions by a huge mile, by a mile. Now we're going to talk about transfer material to warehouses and make the sales transactions. Transfer sales item to different warehouses. Transfers can be requested through a material request. A material request can be converted to a material transfer, or a direct material transfer can be initiated on ERPNext. ERPNext also supports the concept of a transit warehouse, where goods under transit can be marked as under transit before it hits the destination warehouse. On Zoho Books and Inventory, a transfer order is required, but the transfer order can be marked as transferred with very simply. So the same amount of time to do an actual transfer as against doing a transfer. So I won't ding them too much on that particular attribute. The transit concept of the warehouse is again supported, where you can mark a particular item as left a warehouse, is in transit, but not reached the other warehouse yet. As far as making sales orders is concerned, it's unlimited number of sales orders is supported on ERPNext. On Zoho Books, you get 500, 3,000, 7,500 and 15,000 orders per month. extra, you have to buy 500 orders extra at 500 rupees per month. But this is adequate. I don't think a typical small medium business would have too much trouble with these numbers. 500, even 500 might seem tad excessive unless you do selling on Amazon or Flipkart. You're not likely to see in a typical B2B setup, you're not likely to see these many number of orders and invoices, or if you work with B2C maybe. So maybe it is okay. And on yeah, so now we're talking about making sales invoices. You can convert a sales order into a sales invoice with a single click, or you can initiate a sales invoice directly. The point of sale system is given very handy for the roadshow, where you're interacting directly with customers in a B2C model, and you're able to capture customer details, you're able to capture the item that the customer wants. You can deplete the stock of the item, and you can record the payment and the payment type all within a single interface. It's like what you see when you go grocery shopping. The POS system is the same kind of system that ERPNext supports. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you can again make a single sales invoice with a single click from a sales order. Again, the same concept of 500, 3,000, 7,500 and 15,000 orders and invoices per month. And you can buy extra at 500 orders, invoices at rupees 500 per month. POS is a separate module and costs extra. In terms of price lists that you would want to work with, whether you work with the B2B or the B2C setting, unlimited number of price lists at the organization or customer group levels is what ERPNext supports. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you need a professional plan or higher. Price lists again at the organization or the customer group levels. The other thing is that ERPNext has got the CRM module built in. It's not quite the same CRM module as you would expect from, say, Zoho CRM or Sugar CRM or Salesforce or vTiger, but it does. ERPNext does support CRM in terms of converting leads to opportunities, to quotations, to sales orders. And if you're working in a B2B setup, quotations is very important. Zoho CRM is a separate module and is charged extra. So because of these reasons, there is not much of a difference between these two. The things that Zoho is bad at, I would say, is the biggest thing is probably the POS module. But if you're not into retail, you're not going to worry too much about that. So I will only give a slight edge to ERPNext for this particular segment. Yeah, on the report section, a report is very important for a structured data system. As an organization would like to cut the noise and get to the signal, be able to focus on priorities both at the organization level and at individual levels. And for the attributes that we had gold both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory on, these are the standard reports that you would expect, that any business owner would expect, like a purchase request items ordered and pending. This is the report on ERPNext. There is a report available to review at the aggregate level, and yet you would be able to drill down to the transaction level. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you have to review at the transaction level. I'm sure there is a way by which you can build a report to give you a list of all the purchase request items ordered and pending, but it's not a simple report that is available that you can start using straight out of the bat. Similarly, on purchase items ordered, received and billed, on ERPNext, there is an aggregate report that is available, and you can drill down to a transaction. And again, on Zoho, you have to review at the transaction level. You have to pick up each purchase order and see what is the status of that purchase order. On manufacturing tracking, you have report available to review at the work order and the operation level. On Zoho on Zoho Inventory, bundling history is how you track how much was manufactured. That's again at the transaction level and not at the aggregate level. On the sales item ordered, shipped and invoiced, there is a report available at the aggregate level, able to drill down to transaction. On Zoho, you have to review at the transaction level. You have to open each sales order and see what the status of that, or you have to build a report. Stock balance and stock ledger reports are very important for an organization dealing with inventory. ERPNext supports filtering by warehouse, item group, transaction. You can also select a from and a to date. On Zoho Books and Inventory, stock balance report is available. There was no from or to date, filters that you could use. The filters wasn't one straightforward for you to use. And there was no concept of a stock ledger. A stock ledger is extremely important to see what is going on when things go wrong, because stock balance report doesn't talk about the transactions that led to for that system to report the balance that it's reporting. And when the stock balance report doesn't add up, or you don't think it's add up, what you would like to do is you'd like to look at the stock ledger and be able to look at how did the system calculate the balance that it's reporting. So it's very important, but there was no stock ledger or equivalent on Zoho Books and Inventory. Serial numbers and batch tracking, you could do it at the transaction level, and you could also build a report to review it at the overall level. On Zoho, I couldn't find a way to review serial numbers at the transaction level at all, or batches, serial numbers or batches at the transaction level. On ERPNext, there is a batch-wise balance report, into which you can pull expiry date and that gives you the item, the warehouse, the quantity, the batch number, and the expiry date. The batch details report on Zoho Books and Inventory lists the item, the batch number, the expiry date, the warehouse, and the quantity. P&L and balance sheet supported. Accounting module is included in the plan. On Zoho Books and Inventory, Zoho Books and Inventory are two separate plans, and Zoho Books costs approximately 300 rupees per user per month. Accounts payable and accounts receivable reports, ERPNext supports this, as you would expect. It also gives you the ability to change the aging settings to see whether you want to review it in the last 7, 14, 21, 28 days, or last 1, 2, 3, and 6 months, or whatever you want. You can make those particular changes. On Zoho Books and Inventory, the AR and AP report is obviously supported, but changing aging settings is a little harder. You have to go do it in another screen and then come back and look at the outcome of that particular screen in the report. Overall, reporting for standard reports, there are about 50 different standard reports in accounting and inventory modules. Standard reports can be customized. You can drag a column and move it across the report, and there are filters that are available. The standard reports that are available on Zoho Books and Inventory, there are some, but there are few and does not address all the business requirements. Standard reports cannot be customized. Filters not available in many of the reports in there. There is another way of possibly using filters, but it's not very intuitive. Overall reporting, make your own reports. It's easy and intuitive to build your own report through the report builder feature on ERPNext. On Zoho Books and Inventory, it's less easy and less intuitive to build a report because you have to do the report in a screen, look at what you got out of it in a different screen, go back to the previous screen, change it, and then come back and see again if the change you wanted resulted in the outcome that you wanted. So it's a little harder for a user to be able to work with that. And because of all of these reasons, reports clearly ERPNext is by a mile is the better system to use. It's got a whole bunch of reports that are thrown at you. You could aggregate, you could review it at the aggregate level, and then yet you're able to drill down to the transaction level. So it's very clear that ERPNext is way better than Zoho Books and Inventory when it comes to reports. Now we're going to talk about end of free trial. That both Zoho Books and Inventory and ERPNext gave me free trials for 14 days. What happens at the end of the free trial? So on ERPNext, the instance is stored in cold storage as is. There is no interventions that are done. On Zoho Books and Inventory, the plan reverts to a free plan, and many used features like serial numbers, batch numbers, multiple warehouses, a whole bunch of these things are not available till a paid plan is purchased. So I thought that was a whole, too much of an intervention in there. And I don't want anybody playing around with my data. It's of course on their system. It's still my data till it gets flushed out of the system. The cost of subscription after the free trial is 4,100 rupees per month. Unlimited users, all modules and features supported. Unlimited usage in there as well. Whereas with Zoho Books, It's approximately Zoho Books is approximately 300 rupees per user per month, and Zoho Inventory is approximately 2,500 to 5,000 rupees per user per month. So if you're looking at at a uh, set of people of, let us say, 5 people and a reasonable usage, you could end up actually paying something of the order of about 25 to 30,000 rupees to Zoho per month. Because of these, ERPNext was by a mile is the winner when it comes to and handling end of free trial and the subscription prices to continue using the system and the features that are supported on the system in the plan with which you signed up for. Now, the other part that I want to talk about is open source approach versus against commercial. A lot of these things I will present the attributes and then talk about the philosophy. For instance, if you look at users and warehouses and sales orders and invoices and purchase orders and invoices and price lists and serial numbers and batches, and then number of entities supported, right? And then the composite items. There is no concept of composite items. Anyway, let's talk about all the unlimited ones. In everywhere, Zoho Books and Inventory has either got a problem of having to enable that somewhere in a setup screen, or there is a restriction on the number of users that you have, right? So you have 5, and two and 7 is the is the number of users that you get, and extra users is of the order of about 500 rupees per user per month. The number of warehouses that you will that are supported on ERPNext is unlimited, whereas on Zoho Books and Inventory it's 1, 2, 3, or 7, depending on the plan that you buy, and then extra warehouses at rupees 500 per warehouse per month. Now, on the sales orders and invoices, you get an unlimited number of sales orders and invoices on ERPNext. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you get 500, 3,000, 7,500, or 15,000 sales orders and invoices, and you have to buy an extra 500 orders at 500 rupees a month. Purchase orders and invoices, you get unlimited on ERPNext, 300, 1,500, 3,000, and 7,500. Additional orders or extra price is not specified on Zoho. Price list, you get an unlimited number of price lists on ERPNext. You can set up the price list at the customer level, at the territory level, at the customer group level, or at the organization level. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you need a professional plan or upwards to be able to use price lists. Serial number and batches is supported out of the box. There's no configuration setting. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you need a professional plan or upwards. The number of entities supported in ERPNext is unlimited. On Zoho Books and Inventory, one additional entity, there is just one. Additional entities will need to sign up for a separate plan, and it may also require a separate login, whereas on ERPNext, you can have multiple entities on the same login. Composite items, there is no such complexity. Manufactured items, bundled items, stock items and service items are all a single item master. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you have to enable composite items, and you have to know that a particular manufacturing item is manufactured a bundle, and you have to set it up separately than your other items that you buy or other items that you sell. The number of GSTINs that supported on ERPNext is unlimited. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you have to pay 720 rupees per GSTIN per month extra. Multi-currency support is supported on ERPNext out of the box. Premium plan or upwards is what is required, not even professional, premium plan or upwards. Unit of measure conversion, very important if you deal with iron, steel, where you buy in terms of pieces maybe, but you end up paying in terms of the number of kg that you bought, because there is variability in one piece to another because of the nature of of the of the nature of that particular business. So unit of measure conversion is very important. And again, on Zoho Books and Inventory, you need a premium plan or upwards to be able to support um, units of measure conversion. The deployments that are supported on ERPNext is SaaS, software as a service. It's also got a hosted model, on Frappe Cloud. You can also do a self-hosted. The entire code, the entire stack is available on GitHub. You can uh, have your own private cloud and then host ERPNext on that, from clone it from or replicate it from GitHub, or you can even do an on-premises install. If you're not the cloud types, you can do an on-premises install as well. And this is especially useful in remote manufacturing plants that don't have good internet connectivity. Zoho only supports SaaS and the software as a service model, and the customizations that are supported on ERPNext is client and service scripts on the SaaS, software as a service model, and the Frappe marketplace on the Frappe cloud model, and the self-hosted. You can change the code as you please. You can fork the code out and build your own flavor of ERPNext if you want to. It's tough, of course, but you can do that if you want to. On Zoho, you only have Zoho Marketplace because they only support SaaS, software as a service, and they do talk about the low code and no code approaches, which has become the new buzzword in the industry. So if you look at it everywhere on Zoho, you have limitations. You have constraints about what you can do, number of warehouses, number of users, and it's almost like they are trying to extract as much money from you as you can. And this is the difference. And a lot of these configurations of enabling composite items, enabling multiple warehouses, enabling serial numbers and batch numbers is so that they can deliver these different plans and these different programs. And when they do that, they ensnare you in at a lower cost, and then they kind of they flex their muscles, and very soon any software becomes the heart of the enterprise, and it's very difficult to migrate away from a piece of software. And you end up saying, okay, it's just an additional 1,000 rupees per month, so that's okay. And then that keeps that keeps happening, and slowly creeps up, and suddenly you're talking about being set back by tens of thousands of rupees every month. And that's huge, really. So because of all of these particular, the openness of ERPNext with the open source mindset, the section winner and the margin of win is definitely ERPNext, and it's a huge difference. Now let's look at the overall module summary and overall winner. The sign-up module was a tie. The item plus BOM setup, ERPNext won hugely. The warehouse setup and transactions, again, ERPNext won huge. The item transfer and the sales transactions, there was a slight edge to ERPNext. Reports, ERPNext won by a by a huge mile. And a free trial, again, ERPNext won, phenomenally well. Business philosophy, if you subscribe to the open source philosophy, it's very difficult to reconcile with the kind of business model that Zoho has got in terms of its various pricing plans and the amount of money that they want to get from their subscribers. Because of all of these particular reasons, the undoubted winner in this particular shootout is ERPNext. ERPNext is built for manufacturing organizations. It's built for inventory kind of organizations. It does traceability very well. It doesn't give you a constraint. It throws all of its features at you for you to use and deploy as you deem fit. You can ride any of those particular features without any problems. Zoho is a little too corporatized, if you will. It's too matlabi. It is too commercial, and it's very nickely and dimey. It's like trying to hold you to ransom and trying to extract as much money as they can possibly from whole few thousand here and 1,000 there, from hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands or lakhs or millions of organizations. So the observations, for ERPNext, make it serial number and batch number tracking easier, make outsourcing easier. The one thing about the Zoho Books and Inventory is that the transaction interface is nicer and provides context-sensitive information to users. However, I'm not sure how it's going to play out because it occupies too much real estate. And when you have to when you're making intensive transactions, I don't know how the users may find that very annoying, right? On Zoho Inventory, I'm terribly disappointed with Zoho Inventory. I expected a lot more from Zoho, and I thought that maybe the reason Zoho Inventory is so much more popular, I know what ERPNext does, is probably that they do things phenomenally well or phenomenally better than ERPNext. But I was really disappointed. ERPNext does a way better job at managing inventory, managing manufacturing than Zoho can hope to for the foreseeable future. The other observations, ERPNext does almost everything that Zoho Inventory does and offers value that is far more compelling. Zoho Inventory, the place where you could possibly end up using Zoho Inventory is that it supports multiple Shopify sites. So if you if you do D2C in multiple, in multiple jurisdictions, in multiple countries, that could work with you. And the integration with Amazon, Flipkart, Nykaa, Myntra was not in scope for this particular shootout. Maybe, just maybe, Zoho Inventory does a better job of integrating with these particular sites. Where would you recommend ERPNext for organizations that are into retail, trading, manufacturing, outsourcing, and services? Zoho Inventory, if you're into trading, you sell on Amazon, you just buy and sell on Amazon. Or if you're into services, Zoho could work for you. But if you're really into inventories, intense inventory and manufacturing, I don't see how Zoho can work for you. Try out ERPNext. You will be delighted at what you would see on ERPNext. Maybe the transition is not easy. It's always a little difficult, but Zoho Inventory is simply not enough. Your business is likely to get more complicated. You're likely to get into some level of manufacturing or outsourcing. None of these is supported by Zoho Inventory, currently. And I really wonder how people are still able to make Zoho Inventory work for them. People that do manufacturing and people that manage inventory. So you're a small medium business owner. Should you use ERPNext or Zoho Books and Inventory? Let me give you a slightly lighter approach to this, and let me talk about um, a comparison. Let's say you and a bunch of friends, you want to go out for lunch, and you narrowed down to your choices of two restaurants. One is serving an all-you-can-eat buffet for a particular price, and the other one is serving only a la carte, right? So when you see that and you're saying, okay, all you can eat buffet, and a la carte, you have some perspectives that come into your mind that say that the buffet is probably going to be priced way higher than what your meal would cost in the a la carte restaurant. But when you actually look at it and you look at the menu, you're intrigued to find out that the buffet is actually a lot cheaper than the a la carte, a lot cheaper than the a la carte, really. So you say, okay, maybe then the a la carte food is more tasty and better quality, but you ask for a taste and they say, okay, sure, come right in. And you do a little bit of tasting, and you also find out that not only is the buffet more tastier, but it's also healthier. So now you're saying that there is this buffet that is way cheaper, it is better taste, it's better quality, there must be something that is a problem here. Maybe the buffet has got very limited choice. Maybe the a la carte restaurant has got a far more choices. But strangely, what you see is that the buffet has got way more choices, and the a la carte is rather limited in choices. So now the rationalist in you is really grasping its straws, I should say. Or maybe you're also gasping at straws. You're saying the a la carte restaurant must have a better on ambience. But shockingly, the buffet restaurant has got a better ambience. You may still want to go to the a la carte restaurant because your friends are forcing you to go there, but then you're not out for lunch with a friend. You're trying to implement a digital transformation of initiative in your organization. And a digital transformation initiative, whether it succeeds completely or not, will end up making this piece of software the heart of your enterprise. Your organization would not be able to do without that piece of software once you implement it. So, what you realize that while friends are important, you need to do what's best for yourself. So, if you so you try to prevail upon your friends to come and try the buffet restaurant. When the cost of a mistake when you're lunching is not huge, you have to eat many times a day, and after all you seek variety, so you would still try the a la carte restaurant while you would possibly return to the buffet restaurant every other day, or at least once a week or many times a week. But imagine the cost of your digitization project for your business is huge. Whichever software that you implement will become the heart of your enterprise, Zoho or ERPNext. It'll become the heart of your enterprise in months, if not in weeks. Choose well and choose wisely. ERPNext is the classy buffet. It's unlimited choices, extremely healthy food, and extremely tasty food. There are no restrictions. There are no problems, and it comes at a way cheaper price than the a la carte restaurant. And the a la carte restaurant is Zoho Books and Inventory. It's very insipid. It's very pricey, and it's extremely restrictive. And they want to nickel and dime you for everything that you want to eat or everything that you want to order. So when it comes to your digital transformation project, eat well, bon appetit, choose wisely, and choose well. Choose ERPNext is my recommendation to you. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon with another shootout with another piece of software.